In this video, we're going to scrape all the tickers of the S&P 500 index, and we're going to save them into a data frame. So first, I'm going to import the necessary packages. We will need Beautiful Soup 4. So I will import Beautiful Soup 4 as BS. I will import pickle, and pickle is going to help us to organize the information that we just scraped. I'm going to import requests. We need this to make HTTP requests, and I'm going to import pandas as PD to create the data frame. And I'm going to create a new cell, and here I'm going to define a function, find S&P tickers. And right now, the first thing we will need is a URL. So we'll do URL equals to requests.get. And here we're going to copy and paste the URL. So in Google, we're going to search for a list of S&P 500 companies, and we're going to take the Wikipedia results. And here we're going to open the source. So we need this table. So we will extract this table using Beautiful Soup and pickle, and we're going to save it into a data frame. We're going to open the source, and here we're going to search for table and table class. And here's our table. And a table consists of a body and TR, which is table rows, and TD, which is table data cells. So we need the second table row, and we need the first data cell, which is the symbol, the ticker. We will need the sector, so industrials. We will need the sub-industry. We will need the IPO date, and we need, no, that's about all we need. We won't save the address, and here we have the date that the company is founded, and here we have a code. This we don't need. The IPO date is interesting because then we know when the company went public. So the 3M was founded in 1902, and it went public in 1957. So we're going to return to the code editor. First, I will save this URL. So I will copy this URL, and I'll paste it inside here. And now we're going to define our scraper. So soup bs.beautiful soup, and it's a URL in text, and we have to define XML to say that it's HTML. We need the table, so table equals to soup.find, and here we need to define the class. So we'll say table, comma, and we'll open the curly brackets, and we'll say class and double dots, and here we need to copy and paste the class. So we will return to our page, to the source, and the class is Wikitable sortable. So this we will copy and paste inside here to let Beautiful Soup know that we want to extract information from this table with this class. We will need the tickers, and now we'll create empty arrays, but later we will append them. We need the names of the company. We need the industries. We need the sub-industries. And we need the IPO dates. And now we'll create a for loop. So for row in table.find all, because we want all information from this table. We will specify the table row, and the table row is the first one. And it's actually the second one, but it starts counting from 0. And we saw in our source code that we have the first table row here, class is sticky. It's the columns actually, so it's the titles. So we don't need that. We need the second row where the information starts. So that's why we're starting with 1, because 0 is the columns names. So we need ticker equals to row dot find all, and tickers is in TD, which is table data cell, and this is the first value, so 0 dot text. I will copy and paste this because we will need this a couple of times. The next thing is the name equals to row, and the name is the second value, so 1. Next one we need is industry. Industry equals row find all, and industry is a third value, and it's 2. And we can find the values here. Here we have the symbol, which is the first one. Here we have the name, which is the second one. And here we have the industry, which is the third one. The sub-industry is the fourth one. And the IPO date is the 6th one. And that's the only information we need. So we need sub-industry. And it's going to be row find all. And this is going to be the 4th, so the 3rd to start from 0. And the IPO date is the 6th one, and this is going to be 5. Okay, now we specified the information that we want to extract. Now we need to append it to our empty arrays here. So we'll say tickers append ticker. We'll say names append name. We'll say industries append industry. We'll say sub-industries append sub-industry. And we'll say IPO dates append IPO dates. Now all the information that we've extracted will be pure HTML, so we need something to extract to change this HTML into a nice clean code, so into nice clean text. So we'll say with open, and we'll create the file, so SP500 tickers.pickle. This will create a pickle file. We'll say VB, which means write binary, so it's going to write the file as F, and we say pickle.dump tickers, and we'll pass in a variable F. We'll say pickle dump names F, and we'll say pickle dump industries, and pass in the variable F, pickle dump sub industries, and F, and finally pickle dump IPO dates and F. And now we're just going to return our values. So return tickers, names, industries, sub industries, and IPO dates. And if we're going to run this, it's going to create a new file here. It's going to create a pickle file, and from that we will transform our data into a data frame. I will create a new cell, and I will define a new variable, list equals to, and I'm going to specify the function find SP tickers, and if I'm going to run this, we'll check if I run that. Okay, if I'm going to run this, and I will run that, and now it's going to extract all the information. It created an SP500 pickle file, and I'm going to create a new cell, and now we're going to define our data frame. So df equals to pd data frame. We'll pass in the variable list. We'll have to transform the list. So df equals to df.transform, because if we are not going to transform it, I will show it. So I will say, look, so it's not nicely, we cannot read this information, so we need to transform it. So df equals to df.transform, and now I'm going to run this, and we'll see it's going to look totally different. So now we need to specify yet our columns, and we need to remove this n here everywhere. So I will say df.columns equals to ticker, name, industry, sub-industry, and IPO date. I will say date added to, no, it's not really added to. The IPO date is different than dates that added to S&P 500, so we'll just call it IPO date. Okay, so we specified our columns, and now we need to also remove this this /n. So we'll say df ticker, because it's only in the tickers column, so this one will be ticker, so it's only here that we have this n. Df ticker equals to df ticker, and we'll say string replace, string dot replace, and here we're going to specify this /n, and we'll do comma, and we'll replace it by just the parentheses with no space inside, and now it's going to change this n to nothing, and I'm going to print the df, and now we're going to check, and this is our data frame. So we have the ticker, we have the name, we have the industry, we have the sub-industry, and we have the IPO date of the company. If we want to have the date that the company is founded, we can change this, but we have to look in the source code again, and this is the last one. We'll have to specify this inside our code, and here we have IPO date is 5, so the date founded will be 7, so 7, and I will create a new empty array. I'll say date founded, and here I will call this date found, and I will append it, date founded, append, date found. Here I will run the pickle dump for it also. So I will say date founded, and I will return this also. I will rerun it, and I will rerun my list, and here I'll create a new column, date founded, and now we have our date founded, and we have another /n, so we need to copy and paste this and change the column name to date founded, and we'll do string replace, and it's gone. Oh, I made a mistake here, so I will say date founded, and now we have our date. So now we have the date that the company is founded, the date that the company went IPO, so went public, and we have the sub-industry, the industry, the name, and the ticker, and we have 503 rows, so we have all 503 companies of the S&P 500. Now we're going to save the information we have extracted here from Wikipedia page, and we're going to save it to a CSV file. So in order to do that, I'm going to create a new cell, create a markdown cell, and we're going to say save to CSV file, and I'm going to create a new code cell, and we're simply going to write df to CSV, and we're going to give it a name, S&P 500 stock information dot CSV, and I'm going to run it, and it's going to create our CSV file. Now all the information we have extracted from Wikipedia is going to be saved inside this CSV file. So instead of saving to a CSV file, I can also save it to the database. So I opened a new markdown cell, and I will say save to SQLite database. And here we're going to import SQLite tree. So we're going to say import SQLite tree. And if you haven't installed it, we'll have to do here pip install SQLite tree. So I imported SQLite tree, and now we need to make a connection with the database. So I'll say connection equals to SQLite tree dot connect, and I'm going to create the database here. So I'll say S&P500 db dot db, and I'll run this, and it's going to create a new database here. The database is empty because I haven't written anything to the database, and now I can do df2, and before we did 2 CSV, and now we can do 2 SQL, and now it's going to write to the database. And in the first, we'll have to specify the table name, and we're going to say stocks. And the second, we need to specify our connection, so the database, and that it's going to save into this database here. And in the third column, we will write if exists, and then we will write replace. Because this is information that we don't have to. Here we can choose append, we can choose fail, or we can choose replace. And fail, it means that if this value already exists in the database, it's not going to override it. Append means that it's going to append it, so it's going to write beneath it. And replace means that it's going to replace. But here this data is not going to change. The dates that the company is founded is not going to change. The IPO date is not going to change. The ticker symbol in normal circumstances is not going to change. So here I'm just using replace. And now I'm going to click enter, and it's going to create those rows in my database. So 503 rows are added to my database. And now if we're going to check, and if we want to open this database, and here it's not going to work, we need to have a program, and it's this one here. It's DB browser for SQLite. So if we will visit Google and we type DB browser for SQLite, we can download it for free. Here I will open the database. And then when we open the database, we can look in here. We have all our rows that we added to our database. So with this program, we can open the database. In a previous video, we have saved all the tickers that we scraped from Wikipedia in this CSV file. And now in this video, we're going to read the CSV file, and we're going to download all the price information from those tickers that are inside our CSV file. So we're going to start with creating a markdown, and I will call it reading CSV data. And we're going to write df equals to pd from pandas, read CSV, and I'm going to specify the file as and now it's going to print the data frame from the CSV file. No, PD not defined. I'll have to run pandas again. Okay, so now it's printing the data frame, and now we're going to download the financial information from those stocks. So we need this column here with the tickers, and we're going to download all the ticker information. So download price information and save to CSV. We're going to save it to CSV, and another video we're going to save it to the database. It depends of how you prefer to work. I prefer to save it to the database, but other people prefer to save it to a CSV file. It depends of how you prefer to work yourself. So we're going to import a few packages, and I'm going to import yfinance as yf because we need that to download the price information. I'm going to import datetime as dt because we need this to specify our dates, and this is what we're going to do here. So I'm going to create a start variable, and I'll say dt.datetime, and here I'm going to say 2020 and the 1st of January. So it will start downloading price information from the 1st of January 2020, and the end date will be today. So I will say dt.datetime, and here I'll say now, and now is a built-in function, and it's going to give us the date of today. I will create a new variable list, and the list will be the tickers that I want to download. So I'm doing df ticker, and df ticker, this is this column here. So he will download all the stocks in this column. So I have 502 stocks. I will specify a folder, and I've created already here a folder price data. I'm going to save the information inside this folder, and my location is F, projects S&P500, and price data. So he's going to save all the files in this folder, and I'm going to run it. So I'm going to create a new cell, and now I'm going to write my for loop. So I'll say for ticker in list, and for ticker in list. So this is my list variable, and this is the list. And so when I say for ticker in list, it means that for each ticker in this list, he will follow this code here. So I will say prices df equals to yf.download ticker start and end. So here I specified yf.download, which is a Yahoo Finance function. I specified the ticker, I specified the start date and the end date, and now I'm going to write yet at the end in curly brackets, I'm going to write adjusted close, because I only want the adjusted close. I don't want the open, I don't want the high, I don't want the low. I only need the adjusted close. I will specify another variable file, and I will say here folder dot plus ticker plus dot CSV. So that's to tell Python how he needs to save this file. So he needs to save this file in this folder with this ticker, and the extension should be .csv. And now I'm going to say prices df to CSV, and I will pass in the variable file. So he will save it in this folder. And at the end, I will say print, and I will say this ticker has been saved to this ticker has been saved. And I will say plus ticker, and now he's going to print the ticker every time he has downloaded one. So this ticker has been saved, this ticker has been saved, and now it will take a while because he needs to download 503 stocks. He's finished. So some stocks he didn't download, like for instance here brk.b, this is Berkshire Hathaway. But in Yahoo, it's probably going to be BRK-B. If you want to know the exact ticker, you have to go to Yahoo Finance and you type in the company, and you will see the ticker code for the company. So right now we saved all the information to a CSV file, and in other videos we will work with this data, and we will download also other financial information of those stocks here. So here we downloaded our price information to a CSV file, and now we're going to create a few lines of code to read the CSV file. So I'm going to say read CSV file information. And I'm going to import pandas as PD again. I already imported, you probably also imported it, but for people who didn't follow my previous videos, I will import it again. And I will write again the folder. So the folder where I saved all my information is F projects S&P500 and then price data. I'll say df equals to pd.read CSV, and here I'm going to specify my folder, and I'm going to do plus, and here I'm going to specify my file name. So let's imagine that we want to see the information of Apple, so we'll do folder plus, and we open parentheses and we do apple.csv and then df, and I'm going to run it. It's going to print all the information of Apple. So this is how to read the information from a CSV file. So in a previous video, we downloaded the price information of all the stocks in the S&P 500 and we saved it to a CSV file. In this video, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to save it to a SQLite database. So I will create a new markdown and I'll say save to SQLite database. For people who weren't following my previous videos, I will import all the packages that I need, but I already imported them above, so I don't really need to import them again. But for people who weren't following my previous videos, I will import them again. So import yfinance as yf, import datetime as dt, and import pandas as pd. I will read the CSV file again, so I'll say df pd.read CSV, and I will specify my CSV file. I will create a variable for the start date, and the start date will be the 1st of January, so it will be dt.datetime, and it will be 2021-1, and an end date variable which will be dt.datetime.now, which is a built-in function that will give the date of today. And this will create a list, and I will put all the tickers inside that list because I will need those tickers to download the information. I will create a new cell, and here I will import SQLite tree, and I will create a new database. So connection equals to. In fact, we can save it to the same database we created here, but for the purpose of this video, I wanted to separate them. Every stock is going to create, every ticker is going to create a new table in the database. So we'll say SQLite tree.connect, and I will call the database SP500 price information.db. I will create again a for loop, and I'll say for ticker in list. So for each ticker in this list that I have created, we will have a data frame prices df equals to yf.download ticker start and end. So for each ticker, he will download from the 1st of January 2020 until today. He will download all the price information that is inside the adjusted close. So I only need the adjusted close. And then I'll say prices df dot to SQL. So we'll save it to the database, and I will pass in the variable ticker, and this is the table. So for every ticker, he's going to create a table. So he will create a table MMM, he will create table AOS, ABT, ABBV, and he's going to save that into our database. I will pass in the connection variable, and I will pass in if exists replace. I will say replace because I don't have any price information in this database right now. If, for example, now we will download until today, until the 18th of December 2023. Imagine that in 2024 we want to re-download the information, then we can say here if exists append, and then he will append to the already existing information in the database. But right now I don't have that, so I will use replace. And then at the end we will print a message and we will say this ticker has been saved to the database. And we'll do plus ticker, and he's going to print every ticker that has been saved to the database. I will run my code. And now he's downloading information, he's saving it to the database. It's going to take a while again. So he's finished downloading. So now he has finished downloading, and we know that he saved the information to our SQLite database. Now we're going to try to read from SQLite database. So to read from SQLite database, it's very simple. So you just do df equals to pd.read SQL. And here we pass in the query to SQL, and we pass in the variable that's going to connect us to our database. So we're going to say select everything from, and here we're going to specify table. So let's imagine Apple. So we're going to select everything from Apple, and then we're going to do comma, and we're going to write connection to make our connection with the database, and we specify this variable here. So right now when we're going to run this cell, it's going to give us all the information on Apple. And here we have 997 rows, so we have 997 days of financial information on Apple. So the 1st of January, actually the 2nd of January, Apple was on $73, and Friday it was on $197. So this is how to read the information from SQLite database.